Hi, I'm Ellen from Austin, Texas, and I wanted to take the time to share my journey and how ClickFunnels is impacting my life. But before I do that, I wanted to give you a little bit of backstory. So, when I grew up in a soap opera. And when I mean soap opera, I don't mean I was on screen, I actually lived a soap opera. My mom and dad uh, got married and had me and my younger sister, and the neighbor's parents got married and had my sister Jennifer. We were 3 days apart, and they swapped husbands and wives. And we went back and forth every other weekend. I'll stop there because the story only gets crazier from there. Now, fast forward just a little bit. We went back and forth every other weekend, and I have to say, they did a really good job of getting along for us, putting us first. And when I was about in third grade, I get sick every year. I lose my voice, I have terrible allergies. But what I learned in the third grade is that this one particular year, I got sick and lost my voice. And I realized that if you can't talk, you don't have to go to school. And so even when my voice came back, I still didn't talk. So my parents took me to counseling and speech therapy and all these other things, when the reality is what was really going on and what I couldn't communicate was that I wasn't learning how to read. I just wasn't understanding it. My teachers were so sweet, and they're like, she's so nice, she tries so hard, we're gonna go ahead and push her along. Well, that particular year, I had missed so much school, they held me back in the third grade. The problem is we never figured out how to get me to actually read. So fast forward to I'm a junior in high school and got called out in front of a teacher. And most of the time when someone says, hey, Ellen, we're gonna read, somebody will take up the slack and read for you, right? Well, this particular time, coach said, nope, everybody's doing it, you're gonna do it. Well, I knew at the time where I was, and what's funny is I had started to try, really try. And she held me after class, and I said, Coach, if you make me go in and read, I'll quit school, because I knew how bad it was. And so she started working with me before and after school, but we still weren't getting anywhere. It wasn't until a little later. I spent my early adult years in college. I started college at a third grade reading level and spent most of that time just learning what letters went together and what sounds they made. And I mean, all the way to the back, all the way to the front. Anyway, so my next little dip in life, I was having tons of female problems, and went to the doctor. Years went on for this, and finally it was in my early 20s that someone said, you're probably not going to be able to have kids. We can do surgery, but if you want to have kids, you should probably do it right now. Well, that's great. I don't have a husband. I'm not married. I'm not just going to go have a kid. So I decided then and there that, you know what, instead of being a mom, I'll be a great aunt. I'll be the best aunt ever. I'm the oldest of 4 girls. Surely we will have lots of kiddos in our family. And so that's kind of what I lived like, that I wasn't going to have kids. And so I met someone, I fell in love, they didn't want to have kids. It was perfect. We bought a house together. We never got married. But when I was about, I'm going to say about 28, that biological clock started ticking away. And I was like, oh my gosh, I want to have a baby. And he didn't. And we'd been together for 6 years. And so I had to make one of the hardest decisions of my life to leave someone that I loved, because I knew if I stayed and I didn't try to at least try to have a baby, that I would end up hating him. And so I did the hard thing and I left and started over again. And fast forward again, and I finally met my husband, and he knew about all the problems, and he loved me anyway. And we just figured, you know what? If I can't get pregnant, then we'll adopt. My mom, Linda, raised me, but she's not my biological mom. She got me when I was 3. And she loves me just the same as she loves all the other girls. There's no difference. And so I thought, okay, let's consider that option. So I got married. I was super excited. And I got pregnant. And I was like, ha, ha, they don't know what they're talking about. I am pregnant. I was so excited. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, oh my goodness. My prayers have been answered. I got pregnant. I never, ever considered the idea of having a miscarriage. And so I think I was about 12 weeks, and they couldn't find a heartbeat. And I miscarried. And the good news was, okay, you can get pregnant, which is also the bad news, because then you believe. And so the next few years were hormones and IVF, and we ended up fostering kiddos. And we adopted my oldest daughter, who was 3.5, and she is a challenge, but I feel like God put her in my life for a reason. She wanted to figure out any way in the world she could to get rid of me. But girl, I'm your mama. God put me in your life, and you're stuck with me. And so we've had a lot of counseling and battles and things like that. But we continued to foster. And I got a call, and they said, we have a little boy. Do y'all want to take him? And we said, yes. They called back, and they said, we can't find your house. Can you give us more specific directions? And my husband was talking to him, and he asked him, well, how is he doing? And they said, he who? And they said, it's a girl. And I'm like, oh my goodness, another little girl. So we got Emery, my second daughter, and she was about 6 months old. And we were still doing IVF and doing all the hormones, and I was a raging lunatic, but I was at home with my kids and doing the best I could do. And I got pregnant with Savannah. I couldn't think what happened next, but I did. I got pregnant with Savannah. And the stories with all of this, there's so many backstories and so many side stories, but we don't have all day. I just wanted to give you a glimpse into my life. And so in a very few short years, we went from having no children to having fostered 6 little girls, adopting 2, and having 1 from a test tube. And so I'm a stay-at-home mom. And while I love it, I love being home with my girls, I have found and felt really guilty about wanting and needing more. And the truth is, had we not run into a financial down, I don't know that I would have looked for an alternative. And fortunately for me, I was introduced to ClickFunnels, where I learned that I've been saying for years that I wanted to write a book. And through this process, I realized I don't want to write a book. I even have a title and everything. It's The Black Sheep, from soap opera to fairy tale to soap opera. But the truth is what I've realized is I don't really want to write a book. I just want to tell my story and give hope to people out there that all the problems and all the things that life throws at you, it's life and it's okay. But there are people, and every step of my journey growing up, there's always been the right people at the right time. Have I done some hard stuff? Absolutely. Would I do it again? Some of it I wouldn't. But the point is I'm here where I'm supposed to be. And now I have found a platform where I can tell my story, figure out my journey, and build a business out of it. There's a way for me to do this, and I've found that it's through ClickFunnels. If any of you are interested in earning income and staying at home, I would start off by reading this book, .com Secrets. I'll attach a link at the bottom so you can just get an idea of what's possible. The possibilities are endless. That's what I've figured out. So if you have your own story and your own journey, or your own business, or have a business and need to increase sales, or anything like that, I would highly suggest going through ClickFunnels to start your journey. They will give you an education that is worth more than any 4-year degree you could ever get. So I hope you guys are not too confused and can come back tomorrow and see what we have to say. So thank you so much for spending the time with me.